Deep within the heart of a bustling marketplace, nestled amongst stalls overflowing with colorful wares, lived a humble cobbler named Tomas. Tomas, a man of simple tastes and honest work, spent his days repairing worn-out shoes, the rhythmic tap-tap-tap of his hammer a familiar melody in the marketplace. One sweltering afternoon, as Tomas sat outside his shop mending a pair of boots, a peculiar sight caught his eye. A wisp of shimmering smoke materialized from a dusty old lamp he had recently acquired at a flea market. Intrigued, Tomas rubbed the lamp, and to his astonishment, a booming voice echoed from within. "Greetings, mortal, you have awakened me from my slumber. For your kindness, I grant you 3 wishes," boomed the voice. Tomas, a man of reason, couldn't believe his ears. Was this a dream? He pinched himself, the sharp sting confirming his wakefulness. With a mixture of excitement and trepidation, Tomas decided to test his luck. "For my first wish," he declared, "I wish for a mountain of the finest leather in all the land. Enough to craft shoes for a lifetime." The genie, surprised by the modest request, snapped his fingers. In a blink, Tomas's small shop was overflowing with mountains of supple leather in every imaginable color. Tomas, initially ecstatic, soon realized the downside of his wish. With his shop overflowing, there was no room for customers. He couldn't work, and the delicious scent of leather attracted unwanted attention from rats and mice. Overwhelmed and frustrated, Tomas realized his first wish, born out of greed, had created more problems than it solved. Determined to learn from his mistake, Tomas carefully considered his second wish. He looked at his wife, Clara, who had been patiently managing their small household while he dreamt of riches. "For my second wish," Tomas declared, "I wish for a never-ending pot of delicious stew, always hot and ready to share with those in need." The genie, with a hint of amusement, snapped his fingers. A large pot materialized in the corner, bubbling with a fragrant stew that promised warmth and comfort. Tomas and Clara, overjoyed, spent the next few days sharing the stew with their neighbors and the less fortunate in the marketplace. Laughter and camaraderie filled the air, a stark contrast to the isolating piles of leather. However, the magic pot also had its drawbacks. With an endless supply of stew, Tomas lost his passion for cooking. The marketplace became dependent on the pot, neglecting their own kitchens. Tomas realized that true joy came from creation and sharing, not from an endless supply of something readily available. With only one wish remaining, Tomas sat down with Clara, determined to learn from his mistakes. They reflected on the joy of their work, the value of community, and the importance of self-reliance. Finally, Tomas looked up at the genie and declared, "For my final wish, I wish for the genie to return to his lamp, taking back the magic but leaving behind the lessons learned." The genie, surprised by the wisdom of this final wish, chuckled and snapped his fingers. With a puff of smoke, he disappeared back into the lamp. Tomas's shop remained the same, filled with the familiar tools of his trade. However, something had changed within him. He looked at Clara with a newfound appreciation for their simple life and the joy of honest work. News of Tomas's encounter with the genie spread through the marketplace. People, inspired by his choices, began valuing their own skills and crafts. The marketplace buzzed with renewed energy, a testament to the power of hard work and community. Tomas, the cobbler who had wished for riches and convenience, ultimately found his greatest treasure in wisdom, self-reliance, and the simple joy of a life well lived.